So now we're on Twitch. We're also on YouTube. Hey, what's up, YouTube people? Just setting up for the podcast. Almost ready to go. Chilling in my robe today. I got a different robe than usual. But we're going to get started. So we're on Twitch. We're on YouTube. Both accounts are The Droid, THEDROYD. Going to do Instagram as well. And then I am filming this on my HD, on my 4K camera. So we'll see how that turns out. If I say anything funny, then I'll be able to just use that quick little clip on my 4K camera and pretend like the entire thing is hilarious. I'm glad to get notifications right now because it reminds me to turn my stuff off. And then let's get the notes out for the podcast. And then let's go ahead and fire up the engines on Instagram Live. I think we've got just about everything now. So let's see. Yeah, getting it started, baby. I'm live on Instagram, YouTube, and Twitch right now. So I better not make myself look like a fool, huh? I already do look like a fool if you think about it. Yeah, I already do. I'm sitting here in my robe, chilling. This is not dressed to impress right here. But I did hear today that I think it was Thomas Jefferson, the third president of the United States, used to wear robes and slippers in the White House often because he wanted to present himself as a common man. So him and I have something in common. I'm not endorsing everything that he did, though. He did some bad things, and I don't appreciate that. So anyway, I denounce his way of doing civil rights. So I'm doing my podcast right now, guys. I'm getting ready to fire it up. So for everybody who's tuning in, I appreciate it. Hopefully you guys are all doing well. We'll see how the thing turns out. You know, it's whatever. I get annoyed when everybody goes live on Instagram. I don't know about you guys, but I personally get annoyed when I see so-and-so is going live on Instagram or anything else. It's like, who cares? You know what I mean? Like, I don't think anybody cares. I think everybody, has their own lives. And just because we're in quarantine right now doesn't mean we want to listen to you all going live. So anyway, I'm such a hypocrite is what I'm trying to say, because here I am going live. Here we go. I'm going to start up the engines. Testing. 1, 2, 3. How's the sound? Sound check. Okay. Awesome. Sound check. Let's do it, baby. Let's do this, guys. Let's make it happen. Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the Michael Oldroyd Comedy Podcast, episode number 98. We are 98 deep in this. We are 98 episodes deep in this podcast, for goodness sakes. Some of you guys may have never listened. Some of you guys may have listened at some point and you decided, I'm never listening to that podcast again. You know what? Who knows what actually goes on, right? I don't know. I don't have a crystal ball where I can see my listeners. But what I do hope is that you're doing all right. I hope that you're doing well, regardless of whether or not you're tuning in. You know what I mean? Isn't that unselfish of me? I freaking genuinely, I wish that for everyone. And for my listeners, I wish you're doing awesome as well. So I wanted to do this podcast today streaming from my website. I realized that you can actually stream. I can stream from my website, www.michaeloldroyd.com. Feel free to take a gander. Shameless promo. No, it's actually, I'm saying it for a reason. I wanted to try and do it, and then I forgot. Okay. As I was setting up to do the podcast, That's the one thing that I wanted to do today. Somehow I remembered to stream it on Twitch, Instagram Live, and YouTube Live. And the one thing that I wanted to do, which was stream straight from my website, I forgot to do that. I think I'm turning into my dad. My dad, he's a great planner, but for some reason, he always forgets the most important thing. We'll go on a vacation. He brings like 48 ponchos. He packs, a backup pair of everything. Even one of the things that he packs, you don't usually need, like a poncho, right? We're going down on a vacation to Mexico. He packs 3 ponchos each, right? And then he forgets the airline tickets. So that's pretty much what I'm doing right now by forgetting to stream straight from my website. But the space shuttle has already been launched, right? I'm already live on these other things. There's no turning back now, right? However, check out the website. Feel free to do whatever. Subscribe. I don't even know how that whole thing works, but just know that in the future I plan to stream from my website if I can remember. Oh, maybe this whole quarantine thing is making me go crazy and really firing up the engines on my CTE, causing it to take form. No, I think I'm doing okay. Anyway, if anybody wants to donate an adapter so that I can connect my 4K camera to my Mac computer, there's this apparatus I found out today. Rather than just streaming with my computer camera for YouTube Live, for example, I can actually stream through my 4K camera if I get this adapter apparatus. I forget what it's called, but if anyone knows what that is, and you guys are also listening to the podcast, feel free to donate it. Feel free to send it over to Droid Entertainment, guys. If you need my address, hit me up. Send me a DM. You know what I mean? And if you're, just wanting to send me some beautiful breasts as well, you're welcome to send that through a DM as well. And if you prefer to do it through Snapchat because you don't want record of it, feel free to do that through the Droid on Snapchat, all spelled with a Y, THEDROYD. Appreciate it. Let's go ahead and move forth, guys. I hope everyone's having a nice Monday. It's the day after Easter. I hope you had a good holiday weekend. I hope you had a good Passover, a good Easter. I hope you had a good everything. Here we are back in the real world of quarantine. Basically, nothing's changed since yesterday. Absolutely nothing has changed. Time is being experienced very differently right now for all of us. We only know what day and time it is because we keep record of it, but otherwise the sun goes up and it goes down and you're like, oh, I think I need to go to sleep now since the sun's going down. But do you really even get tired anymore? I don't know. I mean, our schedules are a little bit twerked right now, right? Nevertheless, it's a rainy day today. That's kind of unique, right? It's rainy here in New York. I like rain. Rain is cool. It makes you feel cozy. If you've got some shelter, it gives you the excuse to stay in and not do anything and not feel guilty for it. And guess what? That doesn't really apply right now because we're in quarantine. We can't really go out anyway. But I still get the nostalgia of a nice, cozy, rainy day, and I appreciate that. Hopefully, if it's raining where I hear that there are some storms all over right now, and that sucks because let me rephrase. The storms are there are some bad storms that are causing some problems for some people out there. The weather is pretty bad, so it has actually caused some problems for people around the country. So I don't like those types of storms. And if you are listening from an area where you've been impacted, I hope you're taking cover. I hope you're taking shelter. You're staying safe, and I hope that this podcast is bringing you some comfort. So yeah, that's that. I wanted to say something right up top today, something positive. I'm going to kind of recap what's going on in the world and whatnot from my perspective in a little bit. But right now, I want to start with something positive. My mysterious roommate, who's no longer my roommate because she's disappeared. She's like the phantom of Michael Oldroyd's life. Jessica, my ex-girlfriend that still leaves all of her stuff here because it's like a storage unit to her and doesn't pay me rent anymore because she's not here, or pay me for the storage, and she's not giving me interest on the loans that I've given to her. She did bring something positive to my attention that I wanted to share with you guys, and that is that Yale is offering free classes right now about happiness, and I think that that's pretty cool. She was telling me about it. She's enrolled herself, and you can find this free course. It's a 6-week course. You can do it from home. It's an online course. You can find it at Coursera, COURSERA.com. And it's like you put up like one thing into practice per week, right? You do all these things like there's a strength finder assessment. I've told you before about my greatest strengths. It's always fun to find out about your greatest strengths, right? So here's an opportunity to do that for free. My greatest strength, last time I did a strength finder assessment, empathy, believe it or not. Jessica's were humor, curiosity, the love of learning, and kindness. And humor, her ability to appreciate humor. She calls herself a chuckle effer, so I guess she appreciates humor. I also think she's very, very humorous herself. It doesn't test your ability to create humor. However, it's your ability to appreciate humor. So she's a humor appreciator. Number one, she's curious. I love that about her. She loves learning. She was a magna cum laude or whatever it is at her school, Alabama, when she was an undergraduate there. Very, very good grades. The opposite of myself. Kindness came up as one of her strengths. Definitely not true. I'm gonna have to disagree with that one. So this test it is a little bit flawed already. I can tell you that just based on that result. Nevertheless, though, I do want to say that everybody can check out this course, and I'm probably gonna check it out myself. I think it's pretty cool, and talks about implementing things like gratitude, meditation, etc. So that's kind of fun, right? All right. So what's going on in the world? Well, it is tough times, guys. I'm doing a podcast, and I'm trying to gloss over the negativity or the darkness, but I can't ignore the fact that a lot of people are dying right now. A lot of people are sick, and it's a tough time for all of us. That's the worst. There's a lot of deaths every day that are taking place. Every day at 7 p.m. here in New York, you can hear people cheering for the medical staff who continues to be hard at work. It looks like the virus is flattening in certain parts. The curve is flattening because of our efforts of staying home, which I think is a testament to our to us taking it seriously. And I guess, what's the point of me bringing up the fact that people are dying? I mean, I think we're all aware of it, but it's one, to acknowledge it. Two, it's not to gloss over it. And three, it's for the people that still aren't taking it seriously. So for those of you who are trying to sneak out of your apartments to get some quarantine sex right now, I'm going to have to tell you, have a second thought about that. I'm talking to myself, really. I'm not preaching without trying to implement it myself. I'm giving advice to me and you guys. So utilize the fleshlights. All right, let's move on. COVID is the government is starting to send out the government checks. That's pretty exciting. I found out that it's important for me to do my taxes right now so that I can get the right amount of money for this COVID thing. So look into that. Don't spend all your money at once. Hey. All right. Yeah. Hopefully you guys are getting your checks and there's no delays, but that's an important thing to be aware of. If you guys have been paying attention to the stock market, last week actually one of the best weeks in history as far as rises. It started going back up last week. It had a significant gain overall. Today it started off down. I don't know where it is at this very moment because I'm doing the podcast, but this morning it was down. And when the stock market goes up, I always think to myself, shit, why didn't I buy? And then when it goes back down, I'm like, yes, maybe this is a time to buy, so. But I also don't want to, I want to hold on to my money. I don't know, you know what I mean? I don't know what to do, guys. I'm not out here giving financial advice. All I know is I do want to buy but I also don't. You know what I mean? Because I wanna make sure that I have my money if I really need it here. So it's that conundrum. That's what we all face in life. What do you do? I don't know. Do I transfer some money to my bank account to ally.com, which bought Trade King, and put some shares, buy some shares of something? I don't know. I don't think any of us know, man. Sometimes you just gotta throw something in the dark. You know what I mean? Just throw some darts into the dark and hope that you don't hit somebody that might be sitting there. You don't want to have any negative consequence for your negligent risk taking. I don't know, guys. All right, so let's move on. Oil prices are going down right now. So apparently the producers of these oil companies have gotten together and formed a cartel. What that means is they are manipulating supply and demand. They're going to cut down how much they're making so that it causes the demand to supersede the supply, which will cause prices to go back up. It's all about economics, son. I don't know if you guys paid attention in college, but I do understand a little bit of economics. I think it's the only class that I actually thought was useful as far as material wise goes from the class here in the real world. When I hear things about cartels being formed, it always arouses me because I always thought cartels were cool. There's a band called Cartel. I wonder if that band gets excited when they hear about cartels being formed. I wonder if the band Cartel even knows what a cartel is and why. But I had an economics teacher in college, and he had a funny accent, and he was very intrigued. He was very intrigued by me. He told me one time, Michael, you cannot be a playboy forever. It was I think he was trying to use economics on me right there, saying that economically it's impossible to always be a playboy. So I fight him every freaking day that I roll out of bed, put on my robe, and do my comedy podcast. This is my continue. This is what I say to you, Carmen Menezes. Not today. If death comes for us all, much like me not being able to be a playboy anymore, I say to you, not today. All right. All right. What else, guys? Unfortunately, there was a sailor on the USS Theodore Roosevelt that got sick, and then a bunch of sailors now have in the Navy. American sailors now have COVID. That made a big news story today. I got some friends that are in the Navy. Hopefully they're not on that vessel. It's scary stuff, guys. Scary stuff. It continues to run its course. Boris Johnson, the guy in the EU, right? The leader of Britain had COVID, and now he's better. He seems very thankful to the hospital staff for saving his life and helping him through. So that's pretty cool to see success stories like that. Guys like him, Tom Hanks, it's something to be aware of, right? So, yeah. So like I said before, the curve is flattening. It gives us hope. It makes us. It shows that there's maybe some sort of an insight. Right now, we just don't know when we're going to be when things are going to go back to normal. I think it will be a process, but just because there's positive hope, that doesn't mean go out and start having orgies right now. Okay, no sex parties. Okay, stay. I don't know the word for it. Stay home. Stay home and stay safe. By the way, I got my Dumbledore Elder Wand here while I do my podcast. I command you to stay home. I command you to stay safe. All right. Anyway. This was a gift from an ex-girlfriend, and I love it. I'm a dork. I'm a geek and a dork. I played football. I ran track on a high level. Boss status, and yet I love Star Wars, Harry Potter, all these things. I got my wand out when I do my podcast. All right, let's move on. Yesterday was Easter. Hopefully you guys had a good time. Passover over the last several days. I don't know if anybody marked their doors, but right now would be a very good time to reenact Passover and hope that the deadly virus that took place when the first Passover transpired. I don't know if you guys know where the origin of that story comes, but it was when Moses was alive. There was a plague, that came and I guess a way to ward off this plague was to, if I'm not mistaken, put a mark on your door, right? So that the virus would pass over. So that's what people have been celebrating along with Easter. The time periods always line up. And I don't know if you guys put anything on your doors, but that's something to think about, I would say if there's a Passover transpiring right now, I would leave that mark up for a while. So what else, guys? What else? I'm constantly getting friend requests on Facebook from people I don't know now. Is this what it's like as you become more and more famous? I assume that this is part of the process, just constant. Every 5 minutes, I have a new friend request from somebody that I've never heard of, and they immediately send me an invitation to like their fan page. So that's always interesting, right? Very, very exciting, very arousing, to be honest, when someone does that. And by arousing, I mean stop. All right? Jeez. What else? Did anyone do a virtual church session over the weekend because of the holidays? I hope that you did. Quickest way you can get people to disappear in New York City, I've told you guys this before, is to start talking about Jesus. It's an interesting phenomenon, but I've seen some of the most stinky subways in the world, people smelling like complete whatever you want to call it, like they haven't showered in a while, and people will still stay on the subway and deal with the smell. But as soon as somebody starts preaching on that train, the entire car just vanishes and disappears. It's an interesting thing. So I'm not going to talk about Jesus right now and get everyone to apparate away from my podcast, but maybe at the end of the podcast, I'll come back and chat about the man Jesus, not the any of the other stuff, but the man who lived on this earth that went by the name Jesus. So maybe we'll talk about that at the end. Nevertheless, I know that some people were checking out Andre Bocelli. I guess he did a nice deal yesterday where it was like a live event. He sung from one of the cathedrals overseas. I heard it was beautiful. My parents watched it. I saw an ad and it looked pretty intriguing. I know that it reminded me a little bit of the Notre Dame Cathedral, which terribly, it burned down last year. I had some memories pop up on my phone. Everything has memories now, like a year ago today on Facebook or a year ago today in your photo library. So I saw how I had, when I went to the Notre Dame Cathedral like 10 years ago, apparently you can't take pictures in there. And I took a bunch of pictures and someone kind of called me out for that. And when the cathedral burned down, I was like, thank God I took those pictures and broke the rules. You know what I mean? So got a couple pictures inside the Notre Dame Cathedral, and it reminded me of Andre. Is it Andrea or Andre Bocelli? Anyway, Notre Dame Cathedral, Quasimodo. Hopefully he got out of that cathedral before it burned down. The Hunchback of Notre Dame, guys. Wouldn't that have been something like if when the Notre Dame Cathedral was burning down, all of a sudden you saw like this short hunchback, finally the Phantom of the Opera, the Phantom of the Notre Dame Cathedral, like jump off the side of the building. He had a little parachute and just like somehow he had like a wingsuit, to get away from that. That would have been interesting. So anyway, what else is going on in the world? Bernie Sanders dropped out. I don't know if you guys have been paying attention, but he dropped out of the election race. So it's pretty much Biden now, guys. It's pretty much in Biden's hand. He handed off the baton. I don't even know if he has any competition at the moment. So let's give it up for the guy who literally is the most incompetent. I mean, I don't know. I'm not going to get into politics. I don't think any of them are competent, but I do think that the best analogy I can create for Biden is that guy that shows up to Thanksgiving dinner every year. He's like that crazy uncle that like just lives off the family's money, hasn't ever done anything for himself, but you like him. You know what I mean? You like him because he's got a good heart. You don't understand all of his jokes. You know that he means well. He says some things that are really out there, sometimes potentially even offensive, but you know that he means well. You know what I mean? So he's like a figurehead. He's a placeholder, and just kind of like a hey guys, I'm Joe Biden. Hey, you want to hear a joke? Joek. And then he's got like the teeth that are like, they look like dentures or whatever that have been, like fake teeth or whatever, with that big like fake. It looks like he whitens his teeth. You know what I mean? He's like 70 years old. So that's how I feel about Joe Biden. And guess what? I'm voting for him. All right. Most likely. I think I'm going to vote for Biden. So, all right, let's move on. If I haven't alienated my entire podcast yet, I figure he's a neutral. He's basically nothing. He's like a placeholder is what he is. He's just a kind of a figurehead, on strings like a puppet. Like, hey guys, how about a joke? Joek. Huh? I feel like that's better than what we have. But anyway, let's go on. Let's move on. What happened on this day in 1917? Apollo 13 had an explosion 250,000 miles away. You guys remember that? I don't, because I wasn't alive, but I did see the movie with Tom Hanks, and that guy seems to show up everywhere, doesn't he? Apollo 13, that was a great movie. And it happened, the explosion happened today, 103 years ago, right around the time of the Spanish flu, right? So, yeah, that's something to think about, right? Backwards with our space, with our exploration to the moon, at least. Do you know there's some people out there that still don't believe that we went to the moon? I can't fathom that. There are some people that still think that the world is flat. I don't know. What a unique group of people we are, huh? Just well, us humans are something, aren't we? Yeah. What else? The XFL folds, guys. The XFL, the Professional Football League that had started this year, that I was going to potentially try out for at least next season, or I don't know. I had to stop working out for a few reasons because I rolled my ankle back in December. But this is another sign that I think that football is not in the cards for me. No matter how hard I fight it, no matter what I do, it's like there is just this path that is before me that I either take, or I try to run into the woods where there's a bunch of, like, I need a machete to try and get through, and they're just like tigers trying to bite my head off, saying football is over for you. I don't know why I used the tiger analogy, considering I am a tiger. University of Missouri Tigers, MIZ, but it was the first thing that came to my head. Maybe I was thinking of a movie, that TV show Tiger King. All right, let's move on. Quibi is another update that's going on right now. I think you guys might want to look into that, right? It's a platform for streaming content on your devices, designed so that, if you're moving around and kind of walking, you can turn your phone and it'll keep on playing the video. It's a platform where all the content has been filmed on 2 different cameras simultaneously, wide and tall, so that anytime you turn your camera, assuming that you unlocked the phone so that it can rotate due to gravity, if you do that, you can not lose the integrity of the picture. Okay, who cares? That is the stupidest idea for a platform that I've ever heard of in my life. It's 300,000 downloads last week, or when it first came out. So dumb. I don't care about Quibi. I'm too lazy to even unlock my phone and turn it, let alone try to watch content from multiple angles while I'm moving around. Who does that? I don't know. So Download Quibi is what I'm trying to say. They are the sponsors of my podcast, and no, I don't know, whatever, right? Do you guys think it'll do well? I think it's another fad, but we'll see. Prove me wrong. I could be completely wrong. Who knows? Who cares? It's like TikTok, it's going to go out of style, fidget spinners, whatever. It doesn't matter, Everything is going to run its course, guys. You know what I mean? Everything is going to run its course. So, I don't know. Stay relevant? I don't know. Who knows, right? Well, the wave of change is constantly amongst us, guys. Are you riding it, or are you letting it crash over the top of you? Or are you sitting at the bottom of the sea laughing with your buddies going, eating a bunch of sandwiches with scuba masks and everything, and giggling to yourselves like Chris Farley and his buddies in the movie Billy Madison when they're eating all the lunches, like, hey, who would have thought we could just sit around and do this all day? All right. I don't know if I'm making myself clear with that analogy, because you can't really eat and be in the ocean at the same time unless your head is in one of those containers that divers, used to use, like a big container, and you're laughing with your buddies. Maybe you guys are in this like giant upside down bathtub and you're all just eating sandwiches, looking at each other, the three of you in the tub, the upside down urinal, that looks like a bathtub, just eating food at the bottom of the sea, giggling while the wave of change is crashing and everyone's trying to chase it, and you're just giggling at all those people that are chasing it while you're eating their lunches, I don't know. Sometimes I wonder things like, do you think people that like get high all day ever just like look at me and laugh and they're like, why is that guy trying so hard, dude? Sometimes I wonder, those are the people that are eating the lunches at the bottom of the sea in this analogy. The people that are like always getting way like super high, like, dude, Oldroyd doesn't make me laugh, but what I think is funny is that he's like trying to be funny, dude. Like, that's crazy. Like, how can you try to be funny, bro? All right. That's just a deep thought that I had right there. Anyway, Snapchat. There was someone that I tell you guys, I get these random friend requests. Someone adds me on Snapchat and then offers prostitution services. So I guess that's a thing now, is people are utilizing Snapchat to offer prostitution services during the time of the coronavirus. I didn't participate, but I was curious enough to know so I could use it on my podcast. I was like, well tell me more, right? And there was like a menu of items that came with this text, like 15 things with specific prices that were listed out. And I was like, wow, how can you even sell something if you don't even know what the product is? How are you going to offer me a service with me even not even knowing what you look like? You know what I mean? Like, maybe you think I'm desperate or something. I don't know, but I obviously never followed up after I realized it was a guy. No, I didn't participate. I didn't participate in this prostitution service here. But I bet you Seeking Arrangements is really making a lot of money right now. I bet you it's doing well. So the government should send everybody a free fleshlight and a free dildo, and say no sneaking out, right? For intercourse opportunities during this time. All right, that's enough of the sex jokes. So I think I can move on. All right. The world of comedy. What's going on? Louis C.K. has released a new comedy special. I bought it. You have to go directly to his website and download it from his website. What a smart guy that guy is. Probably because nobody else will sponsor it right now. But I got to say, some freaking hilarious comedy special. My goodness, that dude does not give a fuck. Some of his stuff was, I feel like his podcast was much dirtier, darker, and whatever you want to call it than normal. And he talked about some deep stuff too. He was really getting into religious topics, and he claims that he's an atheist. He claims that he's atheist and that he's curious about God and how he goes about that if he's real, So very, very fun, special to watch. I watched it while I was half asleep the other night, but I remember laughing a lot at some different things. And old Louis C.K. Making us giggle once again. So I recommend checking it out. It's pretty. I didn't think everything was as extremely polished as it normally is with some of his stuff, but I think he had to release this somewhat prematurely. I will say that he definitely doubled down on things, and it was very interesting. I can tell you that much. It was very interesting. So the dude is a brave man who doesn't give a fuck. I at least respect his bravery and his will. He's a nice man. He's a genuine fella. Can't say enough nice things about Jimmy, even though I don't know him personally. But he's doing his part in trying to bring light and levity during this time and laughter and keep the laughs coming and the humor and sketches. I saw he did a funny sketch with Will Ferrell recently. They were all doing it from their own homes, And he's had Adam Sandler on. Adam Sandler wrote a coronavirus song. Hey, I gotta feel proud of myself for coming out with a coronavirus song before Sandler did. And then when I watched it, I also felt kind of bad because he really hit those sentimental heartstrings, and our songs kind of like they kind of complement each other because I cover different topics than he did. He was talking about taking care of your grandmas during this time, and that really that tugged at the heartstrings. And then him and Jimmy Fallon did a duet, so that was pretty fun to watch. Watch those guys rotate the crops with it and just bringing us love. Good old James Fallon. I think he's very talented. All those guys, I hope to meet them, work with them. I think a lot about them, and I think a lot of them. I don't think about them all the time. Let me clarify. I'm not attracted to Jimmy Fallon and Adam Sandler, but I do. I think highly of them, and I think that they're doing a great job of bringing positivity to us right now. Right. We need that stuff. We need light. We need good stuff. Saturday Night Live did an episode from home I heard this weekend. I think I didn't watch it, but I might have to check her out. I might have to check her out. We had Saturday Night Live talking about. I saw that they made a cartoon at one point. I don't know when this was, but it was the Ninja Turtles. They did the middle-aged mutant Ninja Turtles, and that made me laugh. Speaking of Ninja Turtles, last week with my buddy Austin Huff. So I watched that episode today. I was giggling at that. What it'd be like if the Ninja Turtles grew up and they were older, and had some spoiled kids, right? So that was fun. What else is going on in the world? What's going on in my world? I talk about Thomas Jefferson and the robe and the slippers that he wore. I got to be honest, I don't appreciate the fact that he had slaves, Aside from his slavery bullshit, I think that him and I we relate on the robe and slippers thing, though. What else is going on in my world, guys? What's going on in my world? 23andMe, I found out I have a new family member that I've recently connected with on the Oldroyd side, so that's really exciting. We were connected through my grandpa's brother had kids, and then his kids. This is one of his. So his grandpa and my grandpa were brothers. That's the easiest way to say it. And it was really cool to reconnect with him. He's got the music gene. We gave each other some compliments on our musical abilities, and talking about the connections and things that he's done. He's an architect, so the artistic gene is in there, and it's pretty fun. It's always fun to reconnect. So I think 23andMe, just one connection that you can get out of it like that, makes the entire thing worth it. It was already worth it just to know about where my ancestors come from, let alone connect with people that I didn't even know were in my family, connecting with an entirely new Oldroyd that I didn't know was there. And it's come to my attention that I'm related to another Oldroyd who's a college football player. He's a kicker at BYU. So apparently there's a kicker out there who's connected closer to me than I realized. So that's always interesting. That's fun. Yeah, 23andMe, get on there if you haven't. What else? What else is going on that's kind of cool? And by the way, this is the part of the podcast where I talk about my world and me, so forgive me if it sounds narcissistic in any way. That's why I save it till the end, so you guys can hear about the world of comedy. But I can't not talk about me at the end of the podcast because this is a segment at the end, and it's for the viewers that want to catch up on my life. So I'll try to keep it short and sweet as much as possible. But I was humbled to have an article written that I was given a nice write-up in by the University of Missouri last week, and then they shot it out into the universe and they tweeted about me, which was really exciting. The University of Missouri tweeting my face and giving me props, and hey, 130,000 followers there that I got exposed to, which I appreciate. So, that was exciting, and I'm flattered that they wanted to use me to use me positively in a good way to talk about some of the things that they're doing to overcome this time where everyone's working remotely. The story was about how I had entertained some students and how the university's being creative during this time to help overcome the isolation and the fear that's going on. So yeah, I'm the face of the opposite of fear is what I'm trying to say, which is kind of cool. I'm the face of Dumbledore, guys. Dumbledroid. All right, let's move on. That's why I got the elder one. All right. Heyo, let's move forth. Yeah, and then I we DM'd each other. The University of Missouri and I were DMing each other thank yous, and it was really special. So I felt pretty cool. Hashtag humble brag. With that said, if you guys are interested in buying some t-shirts from the Droid Entertainment brand, we've got 3 designs right now. They come in all colors and sizes. One says, "You guys going out tonight?" Imagine it in the voice. "Hey, what's up? You guys going out tonight?" So it's in the frat voice or the sorority voice, or it's in any voice you want it to be because it's your shirt if you buy it. The second design is what the heaven, right? With a question mark. It's the opposite of what the hell. Everyone's always like, what the hell? Why not rotate the crops, flip it on you, and give yourselves a what the heaven? It's a great shirt to wear on Easter. It's a great shirt to wear during Passover. It's just a great shirt to wear during general. My mom wanted to support me by getting a t-shirt, but she's like, none of those shirts apply to me because the other one says, "Go to heaven, bro." And she's like, none of those shirts I can buy. I was like, how about what the heaven, Mom? I think what the heaven would be a good one for you. So I think that the shirts of those 3 designs and colors, you can pretty much find one to fit anyone in any demographic. You can get it for your kids, get a tiny little shirt for your baby, get one for your dog, get one for your cat. If you're into taxidermy, feel free to get it for any of the animals that you've stuffed. Or any of the creatures in general that you've stuffed. Feel free to get them a what the heaven shirt. Perhaps the animal is in heaven, and the shirt is a reminder on the animal that's stuffed that animal is okay. Let's move on. That's trying to make comedy, getting a little bit weird here. All right, let's move on. Let's move on. All right. Get yourself a shirt is what I'm trying to say. It should be fun, right? T-shirts, good times. If you guys want to check out some of the content that I've recently put out there, I wrote you guys have heard that I've created that coronavirus song. I created that Miklos Goes to Miami. The train of creation continues, though, guys, because this last week I put out 2 new deals. I put out my coronavirus sketch with the Midwest Sketch Bandits. And then I put out a parody, like a comedic parody, but still somewhat serious, the guy version of Taylor Swift's Lover. So if you guys are into Taylor Swift at all and you like her song Lover, I feel like that song has been missing the male perspective for quite some time. And I took it in my hands to be the change that you want to see in the world, guys, right? Be the change that you want to see. I wanted to see a male version of Taylor Swift's Lover, so I embodied that. I created it and I fired it off into the universe. It's on YouTube. Put a music video out there for you. Recorded it here in my studio. Rotated the crops. I took some lessons from Christina Aguilera on Masterclass. Warmed up my vocal cords, and I recorded Lover by the Droid in honor of Taylor Swift. My mom thinks, speaking of Taylor Swift, I don't know if you guys are fans, but my mom predicted in the very beginning that Jon Snow and Daenerys would end up together. She never read the books, and this was far before they ever met. It was far before their stories intertwined, but she predicted in season 1 of Game of Thrones that Jon Snow and Daenerys would end up together. And at the time, I thought it was such an absurd thing to say. It was so random and specific, and I was like, Mom, why? I'm not gonna be rude and say that anything is possible, but what makes that hypothesis come to mind? And she said, honestly, because they both have a good heart. Now, let me tell you something, guys. My mom has only made one other prediction like this, and it's still in play. She predicted that I will end up with Taylor Swift. And I think it's same reasoning, I guess. I don't know what her, I didn't actually ask her. I should have her as a guest on my podcast, and maybe she can explain why, but she thinks that I'm going to end up with Taylor Swift. I talked about that. I did comedy in the subway once, and I was talking about this. I couldn't figure out how to make it into a joke, but I just was like talking, kind of like a podcast right now. And the response was, "Wow, you come from a good place, yo." I remember that was a response I got from some dude who just like popped out from behind one of the pillars and was like, "Yo, you must come from a good place." And then he just threw down a smoke bomb and disappeared around the corner. He was never to be seen again, you know? So that's the takeaway. I don't have a joke, but I do have a story about that. And I think that that's a true point. I do come from a good place. My mom is an angel, and she got me this little elephant with the trunk up recently. She sent it to me. So if you guys are aware, elephants are good omens. They're especially when the trunk is up. I was on Bumble recently, and I saw a girl with an elephant in one of her pictures, and I swiped right on the elephant. I didn't even look at the girl, you know? Like, I saw the elephant, and it was so cute. I swiped right on the elephant. And I was like, is there any way I could, like, meet this elephant or whatever? I'm interested in the elephant. If the girl is a conduit to help me meet the elephant, then so be it, you know? So that's what I'll say about my recent Bumble experiences. I have definitely been rotating the crops on these online dating apps. Always curious to see if the girls are interested in meeting during this time, even though I'm not actually, I don't lead them on saying let's meet, but I always ask them, you know, are you going out and meeting? Well, like, you know what I'm saying? Come on. You know what I mean? Come on. And, you know, I think that there's some girls out there that are pretty horny right now. So let's just put it that way. All right. What else? Oh, I should do a tutorial on fleshlight care, how to clean your fleshlight. But anyway, moving on. Someone told me that I should do a tour of my apartment as my next YouTube video or my next Facebook Live. So maybe I'll do an apartment tour. Yeah, I think that maybe I'll do that later today. So keep an eye out for that. Subscribe to my YouTube channel. Check out the Taylor Swift song. It's the Droid, blah, blah, blah. Cool. Yay. No yelling on the bus. All right. Shout out to my guy, Dom Leonelli, Dom of NYC. I need to get him on my podcast soon. Maybe I'll have him on mysteriously right now. I don't even know how long I've been doing this podcast. We're at 45 minutes. So if I have time for a quick segment, I might just throw him in here. We'll see. You know, I'll keep it interesting for you guys. Nevertheless, he's been growing his channel. He hit 500 subscribers like a week or two ago, and now he's already at 631 on YouTube. So it's really increasing fast for him. He's one of the stars of the Midwest Sketch Bandits group here that we're a part of, the trifecta, if you will. The number 3, right? My high school football number. There happens to be 3 members of the Midwest Sketch Bandits. Him and Ben Mead there, and Thine Self And yeah, he's doing really well. So check him out. It's Dom's Details, DOMSDETAILS. He's got some good stuff on there. I think he's doing a giveaway. So, check it out if you want some free Apple iTunes money. I think he's got like $225 gift cards he's putting out there if you subscribe to his channel. You know what? Maybe I'll do the same, guys. So subscribe to my channel, and you never know. Maybe I'll send you some. I'll send you guys a nice positive wish with my Dumbledore wand. All right. All right. Let's continue down the string of notes I have here. Speaking of guests, we talked about Austin Huff and the middle-aged mutant Ninja Turtles. I want to have my brother on soon, but my brother, I don't think he's gonna want to join. That's the funny thing about my bro. Most people are starving for attention and like fame and all these things. I've had people like asking me like, yo, man, can I get on that podcast or whatever? My brother, I reach out to him, right? Hey, Jonathan, you want to be on my podcast? No response. I can see that he sees the message and then just disappears into the abyss. Now, he did respond to that one. He said, well, maybe, I don't know. He said, when do you record? And I told him, and then he just like never responded. And then I said, hey, I want to share some of your artwork with the world, like on my Droid Entertainment Facebook page and all that, because I like to just spread artwork and things that I find to be just enriching content without what I get out of it is not money. It's not like I'm an advertiser. I get out of it the fact that I'm sharing something positive and artistic with the world. So I'll share my mom's paintings, and I want to share his because I feel like the world is truly missing out. And I go, Jonathan, do you have any digital copies of your artwork? Because all the art that I've seen of his is like, hard copy, like it's handwritten, hand drawn, hand painted. Actually, I have seen some digital artwork as well. But he didn't respond. You know what I mean? Like most people will be like, yes, please, like a platform for me to share my stuff. Thank you so much. My brother literally just disappeared. Like it's like he's got one of those apparition techniques and he's like a phantom. He just disappears when I'm like, hey, do you mind if I share your stuff with the world? Right. So he's you want to talk about the ability to make people curious and come to you. Most people go to it, right? Like, oh, I'll move to LA, I'll move to New York to pursue entertainment. My brother will make everything come to him because he truly lives in his own universe. Very interesting, artistically talented human being. My bro, I love him. Huge fan of Star Wars as well. He sends me like new Star Wars stuff every day. Every day I get like a new baby Yoda thing from him. Great heart, and I think it'd be fun to have him as a guest and share some of his artwork. But he may just give us blue balls forever because we want to see him. We want him to be here. But he's just never going to show up because he knows how to make us. It's like Jude Law in that show, the new pope and the young pope, where he's like super mysterious and he never lets people see him. It's like my brother and my roommate Jessica, right? Those are the two people. They're very mysterious. I think people are more curious about them than myself. So. Anyway, he did as a kid. I asked him to draw me some Ninja Turtles, and he did that for me. I commissioned him at an early age to draw some Ninja Turtles for me, and he did, and it was pretty awesome. A couple other things about my brother: very artistic guy. He's a perfectionist, and as a result of that perfectionism, sometimes he won't finish, a job. For example, one time he wanted to get rid of his armpit hair. And he plucked his armpit hair because shaving it, causes the hair to grow back. It's not as like effective or whatever. So he plucked all of his armpit hair and he actually did like his entire armpit, I guess his like left armpit. I think he's right-handed. And then he burnt himself out. Like once he finished that armpit, he never he didn't do the other armpit at all. He was too tired. So he burnt himself out. So he just like shaved it. Right. So that's kind of like a good insight into my brother. Another couple of things that I love about him and that I think are very interesting. He's gay, so it kind of explains this next one a little bit, but not that it needs an explanation, and maybe it's not the reason, but he does have this like really shiny silver purse with a lot of sparkles, and he moved to Missouri Missouri's very conservative, and we would go out to dinner. And like, it's a very conservative part of the world. My brother would show up with his shiny silver purse, to like a sit down, like El Maguey, or like some, like, like any like Mexican restaurant or whatever. It's like, I was always fascinated. I loved it. I thought it was hilarious. And, it wasn't even that he didn't care. It was just, he lives in his own world. He does his own thing. He dances to the beat of his own solar system entirely. He has planets revolving around him. I went over to his place and there was these little tiny planets, just as he was sleeping, they were just like rotating around my brother. So I think that in some ways I do that, but I'm like in a happy medium. Like, I've got one foot in the real world and one foot in my own world. And like, I'm aware, but my brother has 2 feet in his own world, and it's very fun to watch. It's very fun to be a part of it. So that's a little bit about my bro. Maybe in the future I'll share some fun stuff about my sister. Hi, if you're listening to this, Rosemary, I love you. Oh, also Jonathan, I love you too. If you're listening to this, I love you, my whole family. How about that, huh? If my whole family's listening to this, mom, dad, how you doing? I apologize for the fleshlight jokes earlier. I hope everyone's doing all right. I know you're doing all right because we talk every day. So what am I talking about? I don't know. I'm talking to you on a podcast right now when I could just call home and talk to you on FaceTime. But nevertheless, I love you. And if I said anything embarrassing, I apologize. And Jonathan, please consider being a guest on my podcast, huh? I think the world wants to know more about you. You're like a modern day. When I see like the great Renaissance painters like Michelangelo, Leonardo da Vinci, all these guys, Donatello, right? My brother has the same level of talent. If you see his artwork, it will blow your mind. It will literally make you second guess your own reality. Like, he is truly, if I had, I hope that, like, when people think of artists, I hope to be thought of in the same category as how I view my brother's art as a comedian. The way I view his talent and his ability, and what he's done in art, I hope that somebody thinks that I'm that beautiful as a comedian, right? As my talent, because I feel like if someone does think that, it's literally like the highest level of talent that you can have. And that's what I think of my brother's artwork. I'm like the Van Gogh older brother of Jonathan. I'm the older brother that's like, well, how can I help? Do you need some new Canva? Come on, don't let the world miss out. What can I do to help, man? Do I need to, don't ever sell your artwork for anything less than you think it's worth, Jonathan. That's what Van Gogh's older brother told him. And in the meantime, show it to the world, because if you show it to them, you're not selling it. You're giving it, which is different. If you give it, if you give it as a labor of love, then the value does not diminish, and it's literally infinite. Much like my podcast, guys. So it's entering your eardrums for free because I love you, not because it's not worth anything. All right. So anyway, random shout outs. I did this thing on Facebook where I shouted out my buddy Paul Simpson and Coach Lamis, and I think I talked about that last week. So I wanted to give out a couple of shout outs to my parents. My mom's been painting a ton. So if you check out my Droid Entertainment page on Facebook, you'll see that I share some of that stuff. She's been doing like a new painting every day during this time period, and just all kinds of great paintings. I don't share all of them, but she's got a reservoir of talent and paintings that she's putting out there. And she got into painting later in life just because she loved it so much. She's a huge Van Gogh fan, a huge support of my brother Jonathan's art, obviously. And I think because he hasn't done much painting lately, she wanted to start doing it herself just because she loves it so much. And, when I go home, she's got her own studio now. She's got her own painting room and all the different colors, paints, and palettes. And, she's taking lessons from different teachers. And there's an online teacher that she's taking classes from now that's doing this 30 paintings in 30 days. And, it's it's inspiring. I think, she goes to Michael's, hey, no pun intended, the store that sells arts and crafts to get a lot of her supplies. And it's pretty cool to see the artwork just get put out there into the universe. It's really fun. It's a never ending, soothing deal there. And then shout out to my dad, another artist who he's a musician, and he actually gave me a compliment on my Taylor Swift song. Can you believe that? He's always so harsh on me and critical of everything. He hates my dirty jokes. It makes him want to spank me if that is a thing for a 33-year-old man to be able to be spanked. When I go home and I see my parents, my dad spanks me for my fleshlight jokes. But nevertheless, he's an amazing artist, and I've been able to benefit from all of his labor over the years in the world of everything that he's committed himself to, and in the mastery of the art. He's so focused on the art that he forgets about the commercial side and just entertainment sometimes. So it was nice to get a compliment, because I created the Taylor's. I used the artistic, whatever you want to call it, that he's given me, and I've used it to create entertainment value, right? So the whole Taylor Swift song, when he gives me a compliment for it, it's like, wow, thank you. He doesn't give out musical compliments lightly. So shout out to them, and then shout out to just a couple more, and then I'm gonna end the podcast. Shout out to the three. I gave Chad Lamison a shout out last week, but any of the coaches that may have saw that post and felt like, oh, what about me, Oldroyd? Trust me, if you had that thought, you're definitely a part of my thank yous and my genuine appreciation and the wind under my wings. Trevor Grimshaw, freaking love you. I know you hate it when I say that, but it's true. I love all of you. Coach Lambo, I love you. Coach Cleve, I love you. All the Sumners, the Sumner family, I love you guys. Tom Sumner, the Papa Bear there, who paved the way for his boys to come through and keep the torch going at Eureka and Lafayette. John and Jake carrying the torch as the head football coach at Eureka now. But, those are the coaches that immediately come to mind. I'm not, those are the ones I want to give shout outs to right now. They've all impacted me in a different set of ways. I can truly say that there's no guarantee I would have had the opportunity to walk on to the University of Missouri if it wasn't for Coach Trevor Grimshaw. Not only in a few different ways, I don't need to get into details, but he was truly I can't thank him enough for what he did there. He wanted to reward me for hard work, right? And I love you for that, Coach. Already loved you before that, for goodness sakes. But you guys are some of the best people I've ever known in my life, and I just think that's pretty cool to be able to share that. And the final person I want to give a shout out to on today's podcast is my grandma, Irene Tolentino. She's no longer here with us on earth. I don't know if I've talked much about her or really ever in my podcast. I can't remember all the details of everything I've ever said here, but Irene Tolentino, she adopted my mom at an early age, and I love her so much. She was such an amazing grandma. I mean, she spoiled me to death. She never forgot my birthdays. You want to talk about being spoiled as a kid? Like, I was a little kid, and she would give me birthdays full of $20 bills. Like, she'd give me a card for Christmas, my birthday, and any certain special occasion. And there was always like legit money. Like, there was like enough money in there that when my mom was like kind of getting mad. There was times where my mom was like, oh my gosh, that's ridiculous. But just completely spoiled me with in every way that he could, and you want to talk about Easter. My grandma was a woman of God. She always had a Bible with her. She loved reading the Bible. When she would babysit me, she would always be humming church hymns. And I remember one of the last times I saw her, I got to ask her, what some of her favorite Bible verses were, because I was old enough to kind of understand it, I guess you could say. And she would spoil me with good food, and just always had food ready, and warm, hot food, just the best Filipino food ever. Her place always smelled good. She loved her plants. She was always watering her plants. She was a good caretaker. She took my mom in, and gave her, she was the best mom she could be, and the best grandma she could be, and just such an amazing grandma to me. I remember one time I would, when I was a kid, I was a little troublemaker. For those of you who know me, you would say that I'm still a troublemaker in some ways. A lot of the girls out there would definitely define me as trouble, fire emoji, etc. But I remember I was acting up when my grandma was watching me, and she's like, "I'm gonna tell your mom," and all this stuff, and I was bad enough to, like, literally, deserve to be told on, to be reported accurately. I anticipated that because I had acted up. I expected to pay for the consequences of my actions, right? And when my mom came home, she said, "How was Michael? Did he behave?" And my grandma said, "Yes, he was great." And I was so surprised to hear her say that, like, I was just like, "Well, Grandma, like, we both know that's not true." And just a true being of light. And when I think back on some of the fun things about her, she I never saw her do this. I guess she never exposed it to me. But my mom and my dad would tell me that she used to smoke cigars backwards, which I find to be the most badass but hilarious thing ever. I don't know why, but I guess maybe it's something in the Filipino culture. She would smoke cigars backwards. That's one thing about her. She she was tough, super tough. You don't want to mess with my grandma, And I remember the last time I saw her, literally, she went out. As far as my memory of her and getting to be with her in person, she couldn't have had a cooler exit and a cooler way of basically saying bye. And it's so hard. I didn't know that would be the last time I saw her, but she was older. She still looked so cute. She had the cutest look on her face. She was so happy to see us, and she was being taken care of at the time. There was a staff that was assisting her at this place that we went to see her. And, as we were getting ready to leave, she started talking to my mom in Filipino really quickly and really urgently. And it sounded very serious. And my mom looked at my dad and she's like, "I need $20. And he goes, "Oh, why?" He goes, "I don't know why. She says she needs $20. Don't, like, ask questions, because if my mom is wanting this, like, whatever she needs, right?" So my dad pulls $20 out of his wallet and gives it to my grandma, and she looked so, like, serious about it, like this was, like, very important. She literally, as soon as the $20 bill touched her hand, she just turned her face toward me, and her entire expression changed. She had a big smile on her face all of a sudden, and she said, "Take it, it's all I have." And it was the cutest, most wonderful, like, just representation of what a great grandma she was to me, and just giving me everything she could, and I feel that love today and always, and it's reflected right back at her. And I think that's, rather than sitting here talking about Jesus the man, like I was planning to, I think that's maybe a better and more tasteful way to honor the Easter holiday. But she was a huge fan of Jesus, is a huge fan of him, and I hope that they're hanging out up there, tearing it up, and yeah. She wanted me to. I was going to be a doctor, and I had to tell her the last time that I saw her. I had to let her down that I wasn't going to be a doctor, but I told her that I could still help people in a different way and just as much, if not more. So, hopefully she's proud of the times that I've been able to make people laugh at least. But yeah, happy holidays to everybody. Thanks for tuning in. God bless, and yeah, have a great week, guys. It was fun doing this, and maybe it's a good time to reflect on some of the people that have made such positive impact on our lives. All right, take care. Thanks. Oh man. Oh man. Hey, what's up? There's somebody who's still there. I can't believe that. That's awesome. Hey, what's up? There's somebody on YouTube and Twitch right now that's watching, so that's really cool. Yeah. All right. Is that my sister there? Hey, how you doing? If that's you. Um, yeah, I talked about John. You inspired me. If that's you, you inspired me to talk about Jonathan for a little bit, and then in a future one, I'm gonna have to talk about you. Maybe I'll even have you on it as a guest if you want to be. All right. Love you, Rosemary. If that's you, and yeah, we'll talk soon. Bye.